Welcome to Shadowproof. Evidence first, noise last.
On March 29, 1772, the famous Swedish scientist passed away peacefully. Before his death, he had written to a friend saying, "Over the past 27 years, I have often let my soul leave my body, becoming an out-of-body spirit, entering it. This time will be when I truly leave the world, because I have completed my mission." Right after reading the above lines, I believe some people will definitely think, here comes another fraudster starting to cause trouble. However, the character I am sharing with you today has nothing to do with any deceitful tricksters. He is known as the greatest, most unbelievable figure in European history, a Swedish scientist, philosopher, and mystic, even as famous as geniuses. The famous works he left behind after his death are still preserved in the British Museum to this day. He visited the spiritual realm multiple times and left records of what he saw and heard, along with information related to the future of humanity. Today, we will talk about his eyewitness accounts in the spiritual realm. Emanuel Swedenborg was born in 1688 in Sweden, the second child of the family. His uncle was a university professor and also a pastor. At the age of 11, Swedenborg enrolled at Uppsala University. At 21, he went to England for further studies, continuing his research in physics and astronomy, and later shifted to studying cosmology, mathematics, anatomy, economics, metallurgy, geology, and chemistry. In 1720, at the age of 32, Swedenborg published his first book on chemistry. In 1734, he published a masterpiece, a collection of philosophical and mineralogical works. It can be said that until the age of 58, Swedenborg was wholeheartedly passionate about exploring the. He was also known as one of the most erudite scientists in Europe. This also led to later, when he entered the path of theological research. Many scientists no longer considered him a colleague. Some scholars even said that the Swedenborg in their hearts had already died. From a young age, Swedenborg had a habit of recording his dreams. Based on his dream diary records, between 1743 and 1744, Swedenborg often had very puzzling dreams. In the dreams, there was always a voice asking him if he was ready for his mission. Therefore, Swedenborg was very confused and found these dreams hard to understand, and their meaning was only resolved in 1745. In April 1745, Swedenborg went to a restaurant in London, England. He was a regular customer of this restaurant. That day, as usual, Swedenborg ordered his favorite dish and waited for it to eat. But at that moment, he suddenly felt a flash of light before his eyes, so dazzling that it made him faint. In the light, a mysterious person in a white cloak slowly approached Swedenborg, telling him, "Do not be afraid. I am a messenger sent to deliver a message. You are about to receive a divine mission, which is to go to the spirit. Record everything you see and experience, one by one, and convey it to the people of the world." As soon as he finished speaking, the messenger disappeared along with. After regaining his composure, Swedenborg asked the restaurant owner and the wait staff if they had seen the strange scene just now. Everyone looked at Swedenborg with extremely surprised eyes, saying that nothing had happened just now. From that day on, Swedenborg suddenly had a very special. He could use his mind to control his own soul, leave his body, and freely travel to another space. It was then that he discovered that so-called death is merely the consciousness leaving the flesh shell, and the original spirit does not disappear. In 1747, the scientific genius Swedenborg retired, and in his later years, he abandoned scientific, devoting much time to writing about his experiences traveling between heaven, hell, and the human world. Undoubtedly, initially, no one believed what Swedenborg said. Everyone thought that perhaps he had done too much research, to the point that his mind had problems. One incident that suddenly made Swedenborg famous was an event that occurred in Stockholm, the capital of Sweden. S. home was right in Stockholm. One day in July 1759, Swedenborg traveled a long distance to visit a friend. As soon as he arrived, his friend prepared a lavish meal and invited Swedenborg to have lunch together. But while eating, Swedenborg suddenly turned pale and muttered to himself, "Oh no, Stockholm has big fruits now. Why have the fruits disappeared from life?" Swedenborg's friend only thought that perhaps he was too tired from the long journey, leading to nervous disorder, so he suggested he lie down on a recliner nearby to rest. At that time, Swedenborg had astral projected and was in an unconscious state. As soul returned, he told his friend, His friend was half believing and half doubting at the time, because he had heard Schudenbach say that he himself had the ability to astral project and enter, but Stockholm and Gothenburg were over 500 kilometers apart. This is truly too strange. In the 18th century, communication was not developed. It wasn't until the next day that news reached Gothenburg that Stockholm had a major fire that happens only once, just as the fire had just extinguished. The soul reached exactly the third house, Schudenbach's house. This incident quickly spread throughout Sweden and even Europe. In the same year, Schudenbach published his first book related to the spirit world, Things Seen and Heard in Heaven and Hell. Soon after, more people understood the unknown side of the scientist. This incident also shocked the Queen of Sweden. She summoned Schudenbach to verify his ability before everyone. The Queen asked Schudenbach if he knew this general. Schudenbach shook his head indicating he did. The Queen then continued, because that general before passing away had left her a will. The content of that letter I have never publicly disclosed, nor mentioned to anyone. You said you can astral project and go to the spirit world. Then can you go to the spirit world and ask that general what the content of that will is? As soon as the Queen finished speaking, everyone's faces looked at each other with strange expressions. Facing everyone's house, Schudenbach remained very calm and confident. First, he used the Queen's soul to clearly see the appearance of the deceased general. And then went to the spirit world, found the general, and asked for the detailed content. After his soul returned to his body, he repeated what the general said once before everyone. The Queen was extremely astonished. Although what Schudenbach said couldn't be described as exactly the same, not a word different from the will, but the content was basically completely consistent. Before astral projecting, he had said that each person's birth and death dates are predetermined, unless you decide to end your own life. The master soul or the soul just goes to another world, and all deeds done in a previous life will be brought to the world after death. Suicide carries extremely heavy cost. Once during a lecture, an audience member asked Schudenbach a question. Mr. Schudenbach, after all you said that the date of death is predetermined, then may I ask, among the people present here, who will die first? Schudenbach hesitated for a long time, wondering whether he should answer this question. The curiosity of the audience below had reached its peak. Everyone said that no matter how painful it might be, they wouldn't mind. At this moment, Schudenbach slowly said one sentence. Mr. Irafusen will pass away at 4:45 tomorrow morning. The crowd below became noisy. Everyone was discussing who Mr. Irafusen was. At this critical moment, a young man about 20 to 30 years old stood up and said, I am the Irafusen you mentioned here. The atmosphere at that time could be said to be extremely awkward. People discussed again, how could such a young man die immediately? This time Mr. Schudenbach must have been wrong. But exactly the next day, shocking news arrived locally. The 30-year-old young man Irafusen had passed away at home from a heart attack in the early morning. And after this incident, Schudenbach felt extremely regretful. He decided he would never reveal anyone's death date again. 1. That person is himself. 2. This is the opening dialogue of the video we watched. 3. In 1772, Schudenbach wrote a letter to a pastor he had never met. I know you have always wanted to meet me, and I will die on March 29th this year. Before that, if you have free time, we could meet once. 6. The pastor was both surprised and delighted. 7. He had never contacted Schudenbach. 8. The desire to meet Schudenbach was known only to a few close friends. 9. So how could Schudenbach have known? 10. Most importantly, just as he had said. 11. Schudenbach died on March 29, 1772, and it was a natural death. 12. After his death, his body was buried in Uppsala Cathedral. 13. Between 1749 and 1756, Schudenbach wrote a total of 14, recording eyewitness accounts of heaven and hell. 15. So what contents were written in Schudenbach's books? 16. Schudenbach said that human development up to 17 can be divided into the Golden Age, Silver Age, and Bronze Age based on spiritual. 18. In the early period when the 19. Humans could freely communicate with the spiritual realm, gods, and angels. 20. There existed a corresponding relationship between heaven and the human world. 21. The gods created humans in their own image. 22. According to Schudenbach's records of eyewitness accounts in the spiritual. 23. Ancient humans were very pure, and the gods gave them skills and knowledge for survival. 24. At that time, humans had a divine nature, could live with angels and speak with gods. 25. That era was called the 26. Many classical works and myths describe this as an era where angels and humans coexisted. 27. Over time, humans gradually became more materialistic. 28. At this point, the relationship between humans and heaven was no longer as close as before. 29. This era was called the 30. Finally, the divine nature of humans gradually. 31. And they no longer used reason to consider matters. 32. This era was called the 33. After the Bronze Age, humans became completely externalized. 34. They only cared about things. 35. Because these things could directly stimulate humans' external emotion. 36. And satisfy their 37. The spiritual connection between humans and gods had disappeared. 38. But the spiritual realm still existed. 39. In Schumann-Bach's books, it was written that after 40. Still has senses, thoughts, memories, and emotions. 41. Only after reading the 42 does the human soul, that is, the primary spirit, enter. 43. There, they still have form and sensations. 44. But at this time, the primary spirit is no. 45. The molecular matter from the human world. 46. But enters a more micro. 47. Dying is equivalent to a person transitioning from one state to a. 48. Or in other words, from one space to another. 49. Similar to changing location. 50. After death, humans say everything of themselves except the physical including memory, thinking, and cognition. Squid said, the circumstances humans face after death depend on their behavior and way of life while alive. Every human thought on earth is recorded in heaven. After death, the main primordial spirit leaving the body goes through 3 stages, based on deeds done while alive to undergo judgment. The first stage, when the main primordial spirit just leaves the still unaware of having died. It's very similar to the state in the mortal world. It makes me feel like the male lead in the 90s ghost movie After Death. When first deceased, the character didn't know they had died, but the soul had separated from the body. So when the male lead stood in the subway, discovering he could pass through others, he felt very confused. After entering the second stage, the main primordial spirit realizes the body is lost. This is completely different from the mortal world. In the mortal world, in childhood, humans receive education and moral constraint, knowing how to hide themselves, how to make thoughts and words different. In front of others, must show friendliness, even if not truly thinking so in the heart. But after death, this disguise disappears. At this time, the true nature of the soul is easily recognized. Evil souls, selfish, driven by desires, not caring about other matters, while good souls are filled with boundless love. The light emitted from the spirit body also. After the second stage, humans enter the third stage, which is also the preparation state, preparing to ascend to heaven or fall into hell. Squid and Bob said, not everyone who dies goes through these 3 states. Some are taken directly to heaven, or fall straight into hell. Those who have completed the soul evolution process, ready to enter the heavenly kingdom. At the moment of death, they only escape the body's constraints. They will be taken directly to heaven by angels. Squid and Bob said, in the spirit world, he saw very few people after death go directly to heaven. Conversely, some people while alive were extremely evil, pretending to be moral. At the moment of death, they are also thrown straight into hell. Additionally, in the spirit world, human thoughts are interconnected. The spirit world space is also unlike the earthly space. Once the main primordial spirit enters the spirit world, relatives and friends immediately recognize it. Squid and Bob said, he saw many scenes of relatives and friends reuniting. Mixed joy and sorrow, very touching. Regarding the apocalypse, Squid and Bob also gave an explanation. He said, the prophecy of the final judgment in the book of Revelation doesn't mean the world is destroyed. Humanity will continue to multiply on earth, eternally undying. Moreover, the final judgment doesn't occur in the human world, but in the spirit world. The number of evil always exceeds good, and human evil comes from hell, while human goodness comes from the heavenly kingdom. God will carry out judgment, distinguishing good from evil, and establish a solid new heavenly kingdom. Simultaneously, a new fate will also emerge on earth. This is what is called the final judgment. The world will not be destroyed, nor will the earth. Destruction is only for the souls condemned to death in the final judgment. The subject of judgment is not the physical body, but the human soul. Because the body is merely a tool for the soul to operate, it cannot be held guilty. All actions of the body originate from the soul. After the judgment at the end of the world, humans will live in a completely new sphere, entering a bright and entirely new future. Clearly, Swedenborg's thoughts and views differ greatly from the understanding and scriptures of traditional Christians. This led to Swedenborg facing strong opposition for a long time. Some even considered him a heretic poisoning faith, always creating distorted doctrines. However, Swedenborg calmly stated that whether people believe or not, it's all things he witnessed and heard in the spiritual realm, not fabricated. And before turning to theological studies, Swedenborg was very famous in the scientific community. His announcement of these views was not for seeking fame or profit, it even damaged his reputation. In my opinion, whether you believe in Swedenborg's spiritual records or not, his works truly leave much to ponder. Heaven and Hell. He believes these are the source of all crimes and mistakes. Those clinging to self and desires only calculate for their own benefit. Everything they do stems from personal interest. Even when treating others well, they only think of their own benefits, status, and money. Selfish people only love what relates to themselves, their children, and relatives, without caring for society or others. Looking at today's society, perhaps many hold such a mindset. Swedenborg says, opposing the self and desires is heavenly love. Those with heavenly love will set aside personal interests and integrate into the community. When sacrificing for others, they feel deep joy. The souls of such people will be closer to heaven. Earlier we mentioned that after death, humans go through 3 stages. But upon entering the second stage, the true nature of the soul is revealed. Swedenborg says, evil souls about to be cast into hell, after leaving the body, still refuse to turn good and are unwilling to accept teaching. Their thoughts and intentions are filled with desires emanating from hell. What they plot is evil, what they think is madness, as that is their source of pleasure. Swedenborg says, while alive on earth, no matter how evil one has been, if at the moment of hearing the truth, one can awaken, repent, and strive to correct mistakes, both soul and life can change. That is, now is the most critical time to change faith. Swedenborg also says, not everyone knows truth and goodness to enter heaven, nor is everyone who believes in deities guaranteed protection. Only those who both know and act can enter the world of God. Knowing and acting, cherishing the present, are perhaps the 2 most important messages Swedenborg wanted to convey. Thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe to the Shadow Proof channel for more.
If the proof convinced you, subscribe and open the next case.